The Galactic Council conference room fell silent as the humans entered. Captain James led his small delegation with the quiet confidence that had become characteristic of Earth's representatives. The aliens watched with trepidation, their various appendages twitching nervously. "The humans have actually agreed to meet with the Voraks," whispered Delegate Trill, their translucent skin pulsing with concern, "after everything that happened in the Orion conflict." Commander Dax clicked his mandibles in disapproval. "Foolishness. The Voraks destroyed 3 human colonies. There can be no reconciliation." Yet here they were, the first diplomatic meeting between humans and the Voraks since the ceasefire 6 months ago. The war had been brutal but brief. Humanity, despite being technologically outmatched, had fought with such unexpected ferocity that the Voraks leadership eventually called for negotiations. The Voraks delegation entered from the opposite door. Their gray-scaled bodies towered over the humans, sharp claws clicking against the metal floor. General Kraft, the infamous Voraks military leader responsible for the colony attacks, led their group, his crimson eyes fixed immediately on Captain James. The tension in the room became suffocating. Several council species activated their protective shields, anticipating violence. Captain James and General Kraft approached the center of the room, stopping mere feet from each other. "We acknowledge the presence of the Voraks delegation," said James formally. His voice betrayed no emotion, but his posture remained oddly relaxed. General Kraft's translator crackled. "We acknowledge the humans. We have come as agreed to discuss terms of permanent peace." What happened next would forever change galactic diplomacy. Captain James stepped forward, and before anyone could react, wrapped his arms around General Kraft in what humans called a hug. The Voraks general froze, his massive body going rigid. His guards reached for weapons but stopped at a gesture from their stunned leader. Gasps echoed throughout the chamber. Delegate Trill fainted. Commander Dax's exoskeleton paled to pure white. "He's attacking the general," shrieked a small, tentacled diplomat. "No," corrected Ambassador Lorne, one of the few aliens who had studied human customs extensively. "This is a human greeting ritual called embracing or hugging. It is most unexpected in this context." Captain James released the still-frozen General Kraft and stepped back. "On Earth, we have a saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, but we've found that sometimes the act of embracing an enemy can begin to transform them into something else entirely." The Voraks delegation stared in confusion. Physical contact among their kind was reserved only for mating or combat. This deliberate vulnerability, pressing vital organs against a known enemy, was incomprehensible. "You touched me without weapons," General Kraft finally said. "Expose your vital cord to my claws." There was genuine bewilderment in his voice. "Yes," James answered simply. "It's called trust. We're choosing to extend it first." The council members exchanged baffled looks. In galactic politics, trust was earned through centuries of alliance or enforced through overwhelming military might. No species willingly made themselves vulnerable, especially not to recent enemies. "Humans are insane," muttered Commander Dax. "Perhaps," agreed Ambassador Lorne, "or perhaps they understand something fundamental that we do not." Over the next 3 hours, the negotiations proceeded with unprecedented progress. The Voraks, still processing the shocking human gesture, appeared almost conciliatory. When General Kraft described the resource shortages that had driven their initial aggression, Captain James offered technological assistance rather than reparation demands. During a brief recess, council races gathered in small clusters, furiously discussing what they were witnessing. "Their tactic makes no logical sense," insisted Delegate Trill, recovered but still shaken. "The humans should be demanding punishment, territory, or resource compensation. Yet they offer cooperation instead," noted Ambassador Lorne. "And observe how the Voraks respond, with confusion, yes, but also with decreasing hostility." By day's end, humans and Voraks had drafted preliminary agreements for a joint scientific outpost in the previously contested Orion sector. As the session concluded, something even more astonishing occurred. General Kraft approached Captain James, and with obvious awkwardness, extended his arms in a clumsy approximation of a human hug. The entire council chamber went still. Captain James smiled and stepped into the embrace, careful of the Vorax's sharp exoskeleton. The contact lasted only seconds, but its significance resonated throughout the room. The humans have infected the Vorax with their madness, Commander Dax said, his voice low with disbelief. Perhaps, replied Ambassador Lorne, or they've shared something valuable. In 300 cycles of diplomacy, I'd never seen enemies move to cooperation so quickly. Later, in private chambers, Captain James met with Ambassador Lorne. Your species continues to confound galactic understanding, the ambassador admitted. That display with the Vorax, physical vulnerability with a recent enemy, defies all diplomatic protocols. James smiled. Humans learned long ago that hatred perpetuates itself unless the cycle is broken deliberately. Sometimes the bravest action isn't fighting but embracing. Other council races are calling it a psychological warfare tactic, Lorne said. They're not entirely wrong, James shrugged. We call it killing with kindness. But the results are genuine. By tomorrow, our scientists will begin working with Vorax researchers on solving their resource crisis. As news spread throughout the galaxy, other species observed with fascination and apprehension. Human diplomatic approaches, filled with contradictions, emotional gestures, and calculated vulnerability, became a subject of intense study. What the council races eventually realized was that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their adaptability or creativity, though these were significant. Rather, it was their capacity to transform relationships through actions that other species considered either irrational or dangerous. The human hug incident, as it became known, marked the beginning of a fundamental shift in galactic diplomacy. Within a decade, several previously hostile species had established peaceful relations through what humans called reconciliation protocols. Commander Dax, initially the most vocal critic, eventually conceded the point to Ambassador Lorne. Perhaps in some contexts, the human madness is actually wisdom.